Monster Movie Media presents Blast from the past. Your weekly dose of laughing gas. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. 'Cause even James has a podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, especially the ladies, I would like to welcome you to episode 44 of the Even James Has a Podcast. I myself am James H. Carter II, and this is our 5-year anniversary show. We made it 5 years ago this week, possibly this date. I don't remember the date, but I know it was the first week in March. We dropped this bomb on the internet called the Even James Has a Podcast. It never looked back. So we have some shit for you guys. Before we jump into that, I do have to tell you that this podcast is presented to you by Monster Movie Media and produced by Monster Movie Media. And also, this podcast is available on Stitcher Smart Radio for your smartphone, and all that. But, alright, now that I've told you that, no small talk today. You know, there was a few things I was going to talk about, but I think it's important to focus on the task at hand, which, of course, is that this is our 5th anniversary show. We recorded a very special Chit in the Chat in the present tense, honoring the show and taking a magical look back at how it started, how it progressed, and how we got to where we are now, reliving some of our favorite moments. Lots of good shit coming your way. And one of the most exciting things is that this episode marks the beginning of a new era in the podcast, as the segments of our show are now going to be recorded live at Roxy and Duke's Roadhouse in Dunellen, New Jersey. If you don't know about Roxy and Duke's, or you don't live in New Jersey, check it out, Google it. It's a fucking amazing place. They have amazing shows, great food, and they let us record our fucking show there. It's a fucking awesome place to be. So, that being said, I think it's time for us to just get right to it. No bullshit, no more hesitation, no more waiting. Here it is. You waited 5 years. Here it comes. The 5th anniversary Chit in the Chat in the present tense. Hold on to your ass, motherfuckers. That sounded really weird. Let me try something else. Hold on to your head, jackrabbits. Yeah, I'll take that one. Here it is. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Hey.
Alrighty.
Hey, man. What's up?
Hey, so this is it, huh?
This is it.
This is
all our work has brought us here.
Yes. I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th anniversary show of the Even James Has a Podcast.
Oh, my God. I never thought it would come.
5 years, huh?
I've been waiting.
Well, before we even take a look back, or take a listen back, oh, drop my keys. A big change has come to the show. We hinted at it but it's actually it's happening right now.
It is happening right now.
Yep. And
It's all happening.
It's all happening right now is that we are now officially recording this podcast at Roxy and Duke's in Dunellen, New Jersey.
Roxy and Duke's, Dunellen, New Jersey.
That's where we are. That's where this is happening.
That's where this is happening.
We are set up in the VIP lounge.
It's pretty swank.
Yep, we are VIPs.
There's a zebra rug.
Yes.
And a leopard rug.
And when they have burlesque shows here, I'd imagine that... Well, I don't have to imagine. I know for a fact this is where they change. So there's a lot of energy of like naked women right here.
Man, if these walls could talk. The tits these walls have seen. Oh, my God.
Oh, the phone is ringing. I mean, we're really here. This is not a ruse.
Yeah. We're at Roxy and Duke's in Dunellen, New Jersey. Come here. Spend your money.
Come down here.
Come and drink.
Yeah.
Monday nights they got karaoke. My roommate, every week, karaoke here.
Yeah, yeah.
Good times.
I came down to, not this week, but last week.
Yeah.
Saw him briefly. Didn't karaoke, though.
Ah, come on.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But also, pretty soon we're going to be doing this on a regular schedule, so you might be able to even come down here and
totally
watch us talk into microphones.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we'll talk to you.
We'll talk to me?
No, I'm talking to the listener.
Oh. You better fucking talk to me.
Maybe we'll talk to Mark.
Okay, so James is now talking about himself in the plural.
Maybe all of my personalities might share a word with young Mark over here.
You better. I know it's been 5 years, but,
Yeah, I know.
I'm still here, damn it.
You're still here. Well, let's do it. Let's.
And who's not here?
Who's not here? Phil could not make it to the 5th anniversary show.
Little motherfucker.
He could not make it.
That fucking asshole. Stupid asshole.
So
why is he not here? He's not here because he's a little pussy bitch. Little baby got a jobby, and now he can't fucking do his extracurricular activities.
Yeah, because it wasn't extracurricular before.
Yeah.
It was just curricular.
It was strictly curricular. Stricular.
It was stricular. But now he's working, and he's not here. And I know that a lot of Phil fans are really disappointed.
Yeah, all those Phil fans, and I know that he's going to be pissed at me when he listens to this. Yeah. You know how often he fucking listens to the podcast.
I was going to say, I know that's why you're really ripping into him, because he's not going to hear it.
Never will hear it. I'll see him later and say, I said such good things about you.
Wonderful things.
Don't worry about it that you didn't make it to the fucking anniversary podcast. You know what? Fuck you. All right. I was going to say I've been here since day one, but that's not true.
You were there since day two.
I was there since day two. Yeah. I've been here since day two. You're on day two.
Yeah.
Took a little break and then came back.
Definitely since day two.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning.
Let's take it all back.
Let's take it all back. 5 years, 2007. The scene, the climate of podcast was bleak.
Yeah. It's like, what's funny to me is that, like, now tons of people know podcasts, and like it's kind of it's a cool thing now.
Yeah.
But like I find it funny that my parents knew what a podcast was before a lot of my friends, because I would be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that podcast with James." So now, like, podcast to them is like a thing. They know what that is.
They know what that is. My parents don't. They don't. I feel like if I said that to them, I could say every day that I'm recording a podcast. Wouldn't really click.
Yeah. Anything you say to them just does not enter into their, like...
Yeah, he was like, you're doing that. Even, they always ask what am I doing. I'm like, I literally say I'm working on stuff or I'm making it happen.
That's good. I guess they learned at some point to just not really pay attention to the details of what you do.
No, I mean, I'll never forget this. Back when I was younger, I was in the band Betty's Trash, and we used to practice in the basement at my parents' house. which there's really no sound insulation anywhere in that home, so I'm sure they were really into it. But so I was pretty young when we were doing that, you know, not even 20, you know, and when I started, and I was at that point. I'm like, Mom, you know, we're playing in New York City. Like, oh, I mean, do you want to come? Like, I'm doing something big. I'm playing in New York City. Do you want to come check it out? Like, you guys should come see us play. And she's like, I heard it. And I heard it. And I heard it. And I heard it. Because we played the same song over again because we're fucking practicing.
Yeah, man. But really, I mean, come on. Let's have let's just have a quick moment of reflection on, you know, a tribute to all the parents who let their children have bands
of course.
Practice in their house, that they have to fucking be subjected to terrible music. You know.
Of course. No, I mean, I don't hold animosity, and I actually prefer that my family never come see me before. Especially then. I was doing things that I'm not too proud of right now.
Well, we all live to have some regrets, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not sure if I don't have regrets, you know. If I know now what I knew to know then, what I know then, what I know now, you know, what I made the same choices, no, but that's what being a kid's all about.
Exactly, you know.
That's, you know, I'm just glad that I was doing that right before everyone had cell phone cameras and everything was documented nonstop.
Only some things were documented.
Only a few things, but it wasn't like it is right now. I mean, it was right.
And most of it was by your own video camera.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but you know, there's still traces that I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get rid of that.
Just a little bit.
Some listeners know exactly what I'm talking about.
Some of them. Some of those listeners.
Some of you guys do. I mean, this isn't really about the podcast, but I will say that in 2000 I was in the New York City Halloween Day Parade.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have seen that and have contacted me over the years about it. And you came across it maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I don't remember. Or was it? Remember you came across that video on a website? It's probably longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
It was before the podcast. So.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, probably like 2003, something like that.
I don't know why that time period is like, that wasn't that long ago, but
I know.
It's almost 10 years ago.
It's crazy. It's really ridiculous. Oh, my God.
I was thinking about something else that happened in 2003, like yesterday. I forget what it was, but referencing it that it wasn't that long ago, and I'm like, no, that was...
Yeah, it's weird.
That was a while back there, kid.
I graduated high school in 2003.
Yes.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, I was talking
You're talking to someone about my high school graduation?
Mike just graduated like a few years ago. I can't remember what the fuck it was. What the heck was it?
I don't know. This is really boring, though. Yeah. So, what?
No, we were... Yeah, I know. Is this more or less boring than other things we talk about? But we're taking a look back. I mean, it would be boring if it literally was like, and then we did this, and then we did that, blah, blah, whatever. I've talked about how we started the show in the past, you know. Maybe you've heard or not, you know. This isn't a clip show. We're not...
Yeah, so give me a brief rundown of just how it started. Like what,
all right.
You know, come on.
All right, here's the deal.
This is the anniversary show.
Yeah, it is the anniversary show.
I mean, who knows who's heard it before?
But
now, now we're on iTunes. Now we've got all these other places that are accepting us. You know, other people. You know, more than just the 5 people that have listened to the show for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And are actually listening now. So
yeah, I forgot that just because I said it on the podcast before doesn't mean that anyone actually heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. It was February of 2007, and Kevin Smith had started his podcast, Smodcast, and I listened to the first episode of that, and pretty much right away I was like, oh, that's what a podcast is. I'm like, I could do that. And a lot of it had to stem from that I had a college radio show, which I played clips from a few episodes back.
Mm-hmm.
where I mean, it was mostly music, but you know, we would Allison, my friend Allison, and I would go on the radio. We weren't on camera, and you know, whatever, try to be entertaining. So I was like, oh, I could do this. I'm like, I have all the shit to do it. I could do it. I can do a podcast. And I needed it. I felt like I needed a creative outlet. At the time, I was living with a girlfriend, and I initially had thought of doing this by myself, just as a project I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told her that that's what I was going to do, just like, here's something I'm going to do.
And she said, "Oh, when are we going to do it?"
Almost. No, she was pretty direct with that kind of. She pretty much was like, "Well, how come I can't be a part?" You know, like straight up. You know, she wasn't implying that she was in it. She was directly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, all right. Well, I'm like, I guess I'm not going to talk to myself. And the focus of the show was definitely about playing music more than talking at that point. Because I've always loved sharing music that I love. I guess that's why I had a radio show. That was the angle. So I'm like, oh, whatever. And that was that turned out to be doing that really gave me some purpose that was lacking at that point in my life. Because I mean, within 5 weeks of doing the show, I was interviewing one of my favorite bands at the time, Horse the Band.
Yeah.
And then the next week, you know, you went with me and we interviewed Daughters, a band I really liked at the time as well.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, okay. We'll get back to that because I was going to mention that as one of
We'll get back to that.
Something I liked.
But the thing about it is, I was literally like a month or so ago doing nothing. I was passive in what I enjoyed, but now I was participating in it. You know, and that was exciting to me, obviously, as it would be to most people that are fans of bands I like, to interact with them on some level beyond, hey, I like your good show, or shit like that. So, and also, there was another podcast around the time called the Rainbow Family Podcast. I don't know if you remember that one. And they had a pretty big following, and they pretty much promoted us on theirs, and that we had a lot of their listeners listen to us right away as well. So at the gate, we had kind of a big following at first, and it was, you know, I really felt like shit was actually popping off. But what was going on behind the scenes in my personal life is that I was ending my relationship with that said woman that was on the show. So anyways, the second episode that we did it, you know, I had you come down. Yep,
I was there. Episode number 2.
Yep.
Claiming my rightful place.
Yeah, you really, said it.
Had some good moments.
Yeah, I remember you screamed at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, I did. And you were
in the apartment I lived in.
James he was kind of not. You know, it was one of those moments where, like, I screamed, and I could see the look on James's face. It was like he's amused, but at the same time, he's nervous because he has neighbors that complain probably about someone screaming at the top of their lungs.
Ironically, not a reaction.
Yeah,
you know, no one gave a fuck that somebody screamed at the top. I mean, you could have been.
I could have been murdered.
Could have been murdered right there. I don't know what else happened that episode, but you you left your mark. Mark left his mark.
Mark left the mark. You know.
Mark put a mark in the book. Mark. Yo, you know what else I realized? Side note.
What's that? Side note.
That I actually was podcasting before podcasting existed. Because I remember I did this like 10-part MP3 series with
the Betty's Trash Chat.
Yeah, the Betty's Trash Chat.
I was on that too.
Yeah, that's where Allison coined the phrase "put a bookmark in the bookmark."
Hell yeah.
Where essentially we talked. It was so funny. We broke it in like 10 parts because it was a long thing, and that was in 2003, and that's probably what I was thinking about actually. But,
okay.
It was, essentially the point was that we're breaking up,
and
so we could have just said that like in like 5 minutes, but we just went on this long talk. No, it wasn't even say we're breaking up. That we were. The point of it was actually that I was going to start a new band, which is the band that I started with you.
Yeah, Stop King James.
Stop King James. It was almost like we're trying to break up with our fans and we didn't know how to do it. We couldn't just spit it out. We're like, we had a lot of good times, but so yeah, I've been podcasting since before it dropped. So.
Hell yeah, man.
Anywho,
Early adopter.
early adopter, definitely. Whatever. So we took a little break. We parted ways with my private life, and then after a few months, I decided to start it back up, and I was like, "So, Mark, let's do this."
Yeah, and I was like, I was sitting on my ass just like counting my $100 bills that I have, and I was like, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, James always comes crawling back. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
I'm like,
I
dude,
graciously
I'm like,
offered my
please,
services.
Please, I can't talk to myself. So, and it was from that period that Phil started popping up as a guest star.
Was it? I mean, when was the first Phil appearance?
That was during what I mean, at that point we were calling them seasons because we were spacing out.
Mm.
And that was that. Phil probably came on like the third or fourth episode. Just purely just, he was hanging out.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
like, would you like to be a part of
Exactly,
this
yeah.
show? We graciously offer you this position.
Mm-hmm. Well, because did we do it at that apartment ever? Just the two of us?
No, not in the first one.
Yeah.
The next place I lived after that was in Bernardsville.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you and I didn't do it alone in Sayreville, that apartment, we
Yeah.
started the show.
Okay.
So yeah, so for me, the show really became what it is during that time period.
Definitely.
Because that was an amazing.
Yeah, that was
That was an amazing.
it was a
time.
special time in both of our lives. Really.
Yeah, off mic and on. It was just really a lot of excitement in the air.
Yeah.
And but we went from doing the show every week to every other week, because at that point Mark and I were working full-time jobs, which I guess that doesn't really make a difference because we really didn't have time to do this, but we still did.
Yeah. Yeah, Phil. Motherfucker.
Especially at that point.
Like, we basically started this with jobs. Like, we started this while doing... He has done this forever without a job, and now he has a job, and now it's an issue. You know. Such an asshole. Moving on. I hear they're canceling Latin.
Yeah, it's a dead language.
Central American, whatnot.
So that was a lot of fun for me during that time. I also hated the job that we worked at, and it pushed me to new levels of anger and disgust, and I was. It's safe to say I was in a dark place, emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
But it was if we weren't doing the podcast, I'm not,
Yeah, man.
I might have snapped.
During that? I mean, you did things that I never saw you do previously or since.
Like what?
Things that probably shouldn't be discussed.
What, on the show or at work?
No, in personal life. I'm saying the dark period.
Oh, yes,
brought about some things.
Yes, It
was a dark time.
It was dark. Yes,
It was a dark time.
Yes.
So,
you know what though? I could talk about it, dude.
Okay, let's get into the shit.
I think this is the kind of shit that people want to hear. Like when all the fun was happening on mic, what was your view of what was going on with me off mic?
I don't know. I mean, let's see. I mean, the job that we worked at was a soul-crushing grind that really just wore at both of us. And I think it was a real struggle working there, like having the podcast to do once a week that we would I know we both were looking forward to it.
Right.
We had a lot of fun doing it. That was I think the time when we most came up with just bullshit to do on the podcast. The thing with fucking, I don't know. There was a Halloween episode in there that I remember was ridiculous.
Yeah,
we literally were in opposite rooms talking, did a radio play basically.
Yeah, radio play.
It was it was pretty sweet. And then but it was probably the most during that period was neither of us were big drinkers. But I think at that point it was a regular drinking period of just we're totally going to be drinking now.
Yeah, that was probably a real turning point. I mean, I'm not really a heavy drinker at this point. I go through phases where I want to have drink a lot, but
Mhm.
that was definitely
we're
get
not-
it
yeah.
get it crunk.
And when we say like heavy drinking, it's by like total nerd standards.
Yeah.
It's by like we had 3 or 4 beers in a
Yeah,
night.
I'm like, oh man.
But that's actually, you know what? I wanted to make an amendment to the last week's episode, which
Okay.
was I was saying is I couldn't for whatever reason I couldn't remember it when I was like in the moment about to say it, and then I couldn't, and so I just came up with Dr. Scotch.
Oh yes.
It was actually Dr. Whiskey.
Oh yeah, the doctor.
It was Dr. Whiskey,
and
Dr.
whiskey.
Pepper, and whiskey together.
Yeah.
And then because I don't think I've never bought Scotch. I've drank it from other people.
Oh, okay.
but Scotch is not something that I would buy for myself. It's a little too woodsy for me. I feel like
Okay,
a
you
little
like-
too. There's a
Yeah,
wooden
yeah.
flavor to it.
Yeah, when you guys showed up to my apartment with Dr. Pepper and whiskey,
Oh yeah,
I was
Some
like,
Canadian-
we're on a whole other fucking level here now.
Canadian mist. That's the way to
Like,
go.
this is going to be taken to a whole other level.
Yeah, But better times, different times.
Yeah, definitely. And the show itself became excruciatingly long because we kept playing the same amount of songs, but the talking segments,
Yeah, exactly. We just kept talking,
we just kept going on.
but we still wanted to play the music.
Yeah, and so I got a lot of complaints.
Yeah, because
Show
then we'd
was
have
too
like
long.
3-hour-long episodes.
We didn't. Well, we only had one show. It was 3 hours, which my current and forever girlfriend Karen, we just crossed the 4-year mark, ladies and gentlemen. When we talk about long episodes, she bitterly discussed the one that come up in the next season where we did hit the 3-hour mark. It's almost like she's mad that she can't get that time back, and she holds a grudge.
No, which one was that? It was 3 hours.
That was the one where we were done. It was 2 hours. We were done with the episode, and we decided to watch YouTube videos on mic
Oh yeah,
for like an hour. Which really were just old television commercials of what we were watching, not like cat videos or whatever. Like the one of my all-time favorite commercials. I don't know what brand it was, some root beer, where this guy goes on a job interview and he thinks the guy's interview's name is Dumbass, but it's Dumas.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm dumbass material. I'm your dumbass guy. He's like, the name is Dumas. And I was like, the first time I saw that, I was like, damn, what a fucking dumbass. Anyways, so that anything else from season 2 to bring up?
I don't know, man. I mean, it was just that is probably like it was a really good run at that point.
Yeah.
It was like I feel like that was when we like really hit a stride. We had it like going every week. We were doing it. I think we really sharpened our skills.
Yeah,
Cut our teeth,
definitely.
broke our hymens.
Broke our podcasting guy.
I feel like that's when it really happened.
Yeah, so for me, that was really a show. That's when I was like, stop worrying about guests. Let's just be us. Let's just do our thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it happen. So that was cool. And then we took a long break. From like 6 months almost. And then we started season 3. This would be in June of 2008. We took the show from doing it once every other week to once a month, which almost, I think, killed the show.
Yeah.
Because then it was just like, totally like not even in our minds of like
Yeah. Exactly.
anything that we were doing. Like, and I think that happened to the listeners too. Since we weren't an iTunes store, it wasn't automatically downloading,
Mhm.
I think we really lost some listenership there. But what really happened is I learned a lot about myself on that first episode back, because that was our 21st episode where I decided that I was going to get drunk on the show.
Yeah, that was like after like a 6-month break of normalcy.
Yeah.
It was like parties back on.
Yeah. And that probably, I would say to this day, is the most drunk I'd ever been in my entire life.
Definitely the most I've ever seen you.
Yeah, like that was a dark night. Talking about dark times.
That was definitely a dark night. That was the dark night. I mean,
That
fuck
was the dark
Batman.
night. That was the dark night.
Like Heath Ledger's Joker is nothing compared to James's.
No, that hadn't even dropped yet.
Yeah,
That hadn't even dropped yet. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just more of like whatever beer I was drinking on top of whatever the fuck you guys had. I just didn't even know what I drank. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It was just totally like I've never. I mean, that's for listeners at home. I know you know this, Mark, but
Yeah.
you know, I didn't drink any alcohol at all until I was 23 years old. And even then, it was just so mild. Like, I never had that, like, all right, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, let's get plastered. So I'm like, I'm going to do this tonight. I'm like, this is going to be what I'm going to get what people call shit-faced, and we're going to do it on the podcast, and it'll be entertaining for the podcast listeners. The thing about it, though, is that most of the recording, I was pretty fine. Like, it wasn't until the, like, almost at the end that this, like, fucking everything shifted, like, very drastically. Just this, like, whoof. And it was just, like, all over for me. I recall feeling it. I think Karen and I think Sanders said they could hear when it happened. I mean, I don't. If I listen to it again, maybe I'll hear it. But I mean, there wasn't too much left of the show at that point. So what really this happened? Really, it was after we were done recording, where I just went to this really this dark place.
It was the Dr. Jekyll in you came out. Not like, you know, you were just. I mean, honestly, I mean, I was drunk too, obviously. So
Right,
I mean,
so you don't
the
have
only
100%.
thing, the main thing that I remember was us outside of your house.
Yeah.
And like you, like just like falling around and like leaning against the garage doors, which were painted white, and then like
the
you
paint
got
was all coming off
like,
of me. Yeah.
it was like paint powder like all over you. Like at one point I looked over and like you were just like covered. It looked like you like jumped in a pile of cocaine or just went crazy at the powdered sugar donut factory. And like we're just covered in like white powder, and then you're just like you like your drunk brain just couldn't comprehend like why you were covered in powder, and you're like why is it coming off? Like why is this happening to me?
I'm just standing here. I do remember you saying that you thought I was going to start crying. You told me that later. I don't remember that at the
Yeah,
time.
I definitely thought you were gonna cry.
I don't know what I was talking about, but you thought I was going to start crying. I think you recorded a video of it on your phone.
Yeah, there was the video at some point.
I'm sure that was
but that was
a
a
few
phone.
phones
That was a
ago.
few phones ago, definitely. Yeah.
And no way to get the video off
Yeah.
there. But yeah, and then let's see. Then we went into the living room, and you guys were playing GTA 4.
Oh yeah.
And you guys kept talking about looking at something on the internet, and my only thing I kept saying was like I couldn't get my PS3 connected to the internet. I was like, it doesn't work. It doesn't go online. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't work. And I think you just gave up on trying to explain to me that you weren't trying to get online on the PS3. Because maybe you were explaining it.
James, there are computers. There's other ways to get on the internet.
It doesn't work. I mean, you may have been talking to me. I don't even remember any response to that. I know that I blacked out after that. And then I woke up at some point. You guys weren't there. And I was on the couch, and I was like, holy shit. At this point, I was living in my parents' house again. I guess it's important to say I hop around a lot. At that point, I was there. And even though I was like, 30-plus years old, I had this feeling of like, I can't fucking crash here drunk. I'm going to get in trouble. I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get... like, you guys were gone. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Like, I was just like, all right. I gotta get to my room. As long as I get to my room, everything's cool. And that must have taken me 20 minutes to like get to my to stand up. Like everything was moving. like I mean, I didn't think someone could feel that way from just alcohol. Like that was like I thought it was hallucinating. It was delusional. Like it was. It took me 20 minutes to walk up the stairs. I'm just like, just got to get there. Just got to get there. Got in my room. I woke up, like, everything was on, my clothes. Like, I just hit the bed. And it was... And I bailed. So that's how we start off. So I'm like, man, season 3 is going to be awesome because. But it was still fun, but it just didn't happen very often, and all that jazz. So season 4. I mean, we did it for 8 months, once a month. That was season 3, and then that was, I guess, that was the point where we did that 3-hour show.
Oh yes.
What I got out of season 3 was, even though we had lost listenership, that was probably you and I were not working together at that time, and we were barely seeing each other.
Yeah.
And so that was literally like the time that we were hanging out. So then the show really turned into us just literally talking to each other with microphones. Almost like whatever obligations that we had, we can talk to each other right now because we're actually doing something. Because we have microphones.
Yeah, exactly. It became a thing. It became like our way of hanging out.
Yeah.
It was just through microphones and recording it.
Right, and through that period, that's when podcasting started really picking up in the lexicon of things, and that's really what the podcasts I gravitated to really were just friends talking.
Yeah.
Not a bunch of people trying to put on a show. So it slowly became like, oh, okay, that's cool. We took a little bit of a break. I think almost a year. I don't even know. We did one episode, and I remember we went to your house and recorded it in your parents' bedroom.
What?
You don't remember this? It's your parents' bedroom. Your bedroom in your parents' house.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I vaguely remember recording in my house, at my parents' house.
Yeah, that's funny. Recording in your bedroom. Anyway, so season 4.
Yeah.
We're like, all right. I think it was. I don't even know what led to the decision making on this. We're just like, let's do it. Let's do it in Marks. You know, let's try it. I remember we recorded an entire episode, and the wrong microphone input was on your computer, and it was recording from the internal microphone.
Oh yeah.
And every time that I moved in your chair was this loud ass squeaking sound. So we literally had to do it all over.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure really boosted morale. And that was the beginning and end of season 4. I don't know. We just didn't really pick it up after that. And then that was September 2009. And in the spring of 2010, I'm like, we went back to the month thing. I don't remember too much about that time. We were back at my parents' house. I know that we interviewed my sister.
Oh yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. It's funny I remember less about things that happened more recently.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not long enough to be a fond memory. It was still pretty much the same thing. That was one of the few times we were hanging out and we were just talking. But one of my favorite things from that period was when really you got some alone time with the microphone and you talked about getting your hair cut.
Yeah. Mark gets a haircut.
Yeah.
It's a good moment.
That's one of my favorite moments there.
The last haircut I got before the previous haircut that I have.
Wow, that was a long-ass time ago.
Fuck yeah. Pretty sure. That's the last time I remember going before this time. So,
wow.
I just got my hair cut about a month ago, I'd say. It's for the listeners. And so, yeah. So
about once a year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not always, but
yeah.
I think it's going to maintain short. Right now it's short. Short as it's been since I, shaved my head a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then, but I think it's gonna, I think it'll remain about here.
So
not here, but it's gonna.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to get to the point where I can actually comb it a decent way.
Right.
And then
it's
probably
still growing in right
now.
Yeah,
It's growing in. I cut it a little too short, but
what
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
These are the things we learn.
Yeah. Well, I forgive you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not a problem. But I guess that brings us to now.
Just right now.
Where, I just took some time off and I was like, this podcast is my life. I can't let it die. We started this before anyone had a podcast. Now everyone has a podcast. And we need to keep the torch going.
Yeah.
And I'd say coming back on a weekly schedule, the first time since 2007.
Yeah.
At a time where I actually am the busiest that I've been in my entire life. Like, that goes to show it doesn't matter what else you're doing. If you really want to do something,
Yeah.
you know, you'll show up and you'll fucking do it. I mean,
Me or you, or just in general?
in
people?
general. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is another backhanded
Slap against Phil?
Slap against Phil.
Yeah. Fuck that motherfucker. It's fucking dead to me.
I know, yeah, sure. On the podcast, we should say I'm no longer speaking to you on the podcast. So, my girlfriend said something very interesting about the show
Okay.
last night. So I'm going to put her on blast.
All right. Blaster.
She said that you...
Super soak that hoe. I'm sorry.
Wow, Soldier Boy, man. That was... We were doing that dance back in season 2. She was like... She said...
Mm-hmm.
She said that you were the star of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Well.
And I was like, wow. I mean, like... I'm like, you're... And it's so funny because she was like... I don't even remember what I said. Or my response. Something like, how you going to do me like that, girl? You know? Something kind of joking. And she's just like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, she was just like... I have a kind of girlfriend that really will give you... She doesn't sugarcoat her opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What was funny when I realized what I said was, I have the kind of girlfriend that doesn't sugarcoat. As though you can go to the girlfriend store and get... get girlfriends that sugarcoat and ones that don't. And she's like, I have the kind of boyfriend that's a dumbass. Anyways, no, she likes me. You know,
Yeah.
we're in it 4 years.
Nice.
So, but, you know, I did recognize that because, you know, I don't know who's the star or whatever, but you are... I realized that I kind of set you up,
Mm-hmm.
and you just knock them out of the park. That's
I
kind
try.
of it's kind of our dynamic. You know, that's something I definitely have done throughout the entire recordings. Is that, you know, I'll say things that I know will get some kind of reaction out of you, and then.
Oh, man. Well, now I got this ego.
Yeah, so now you're
Shit.
So, it's ironic that you're the star.
I'm the star of your podcast. The podcast with your name in it.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's totally cool. It's less work for me, man. Cause
Yeah.
you really.
I mean, now I got to shoulder this burden.
Yeah.
You know, it's like pressure, all the pressure to perform, you know.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any other thoughts you want to interject for our 5-year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's been really awesome. I think it's been fun. I enjoy having like an archive of like our
That's pretty
lives
amazing,
over
actually.
the
That's one
course of
thing
a few
that-
years.
yeah.
I like also like just I don't know, like just an archive of like inside jokes and stuff
Yeah,
that we've
yeah.
had, and like just stupid stuff that we've talked about, and you know, because we talk about our lives a little bit here and there. You know,
Right.
we'll give a little bit of
Sprinkles
insight
in
as to
there.
what's going on. So it's like there's a record of our lives, a record of our friendship. You know, it going through the times when we couldn't really hang out except for doing the podcast. It's like always been cool to kind of be able to listen to that as like just kind of revisiting. You know, because I mean, I've got a shit memory for like a lot of shit. You know, like I mean, I'll remember movie lines, but what happened in life, I have no fucking idea. So, you know, it's good to go back and re-listen and be like, I remember those. Oh yeah, now I totally remember that. You know, and then I'll forget it again and I'll have to re-listen to the episode.
Right.
But you know, I've always enjoyed that. I think you know, we've both gotten way better about. I don't know. It's helped. It's helped shape us in a way. I feel creatively and just you know
Keeps us on our toes.
gives us I don't know. It's done us a lot of good, and I don't know. I've enjoyed it. You know what I was going to say earlier, because I thought that what I kind of thought was that we were going to go through like some fun moments.
Oh, okay. No, yeah.
So
yeah,
I would say
moments,
one
break
of
it
my
down.
favorite times on the podcast was when we went to go interview Alexis from Daughters,
Oh, yes.
which was just like such an awesome time.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know, because that was also one of those times when it was like, you know, I mean, you did the Horse the Band interview before that, and I thought that was awesome and thought it was really, you know, I was like kind of jealous a bit. not like it was fucking James. But, you know, I was like, man, I wish I got to do that. And then, like, you know, I came with you. We went to Brooklyn. We went to the Polish club or whatever the fuck it was. It wasn't the Warsaw. It was some other Polish.
Yeah, I ended up having like a lot of shows there since, but at that time it was one of the first rock events they had there.
It was crazy. Because it was like cool though, because we got there. You know, were we on the list? I think we were on a list.
Yeah, and it actually said like that we were podcasters. Actually, and I remember the girl that were rolling her eyes. Like anyone can get on the list.
Yeah.
No love for podcasters in 07. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah. So we fucking. I remember we got in there. It was fucking a sweet show. It was like cattle decapitation.
And Locust.
The Locust and
Daughters.
Daughters.
Last Locust tour too.
It was a fucking sweet show.
Yeah.
It
There was
really
another band I played too. I don't remember, but yeah, that was.
I don't know.
And that's probably the last time I saw Daughters too. I think that
Yeah.
might have been one of their last tours too.
Yeah, man. It was like such a good show. You know, and then we got to hang out like the backstage area, which was just another room. You know, it wasn't backstage,
Right.
Because the stage was like in a corner against a brick wall. But it was a fucking sweet show. You know, we got to hang out in the backstage area. Got to watch the Locust take their clothes off.
Behind the mask, the Locust.
and then we got to talk to Alexis, and he turned out to be a cool dude. And you know, I got to walk around while you talked to him and hold the camera and shoot it, and it was just a fun time. You know? And then halfway through the interview is when the Polish club, turned into like Polish dance club.
Oh,
so
yeah.
while we were leaving, we had to like walk through like a sea of like perfume mist, and like it was just the smell of aftershave and heavy perfume was just like
Polish Guidos, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it was going to Polish Karma, you know, the Jersey Shore. It was like just some dance shit going on. It was, you know, lots of metallic dresses and like I don't know, it was just
A lot of culture clash going on right there.
Yeah.
But,
there's Polish nightlife going on.
yeah.
Which I'm familiar with because I'm the Polish.
Because you're Polish, you know all about that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean that was like the one moment that I was just like, I was like, yeah, I felt like I'm there, I'm in it. You know, we're doing it, we're doing something.
Yeah, that's it. You feel
It's
like
fun.
You're not being passive in what you enjoy. You're a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's, you know, that's what's most exciting about this. I mean, it's cool that we can sit here and chill, but you know, we're gonna be having some guests on the show soon.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's going to be pretty awesome that people, you know, that I like or enjoy their work are going to come and talk to us.
Exactly. Chit in the chat in the present tense.
Exactly. That's going to be lovely. I guess we talked about this briefly a few episodes ago, but probably my favorite time doing the show was the one that we did in the bar.
In Long Island, yeah.
I know that you didn't like it. It was you weren't about it.
I was definitely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, and I think it was so ridiculous what we were doing that I loved it. Like it was just like, I wish I had that confidence right now, dude. I didn't give a fuck that day.
Yeah.
Like we just sat in there, set up fucking computer and microphones, and I was just like, we're doing a show. Like,
Yeah. That's the thing. I definitely, you know, because for me, like the podcast, especially at that point, was like, you know, I enjoyed what I enjoyed about doing it, and also what I liked about what we were producing was that it was like somewhat intimate and something, you know, and I always, you know, I was enjoying that, like, you know, we could talk candidly or whatever, you know, there was a safe environment about it,
right?
And then it was just like, I don't want to fucking, well, we're gonna, like, I mean, you know, it's like racking my nerves enough of like being in some random bar that we don't know, and then like bringing in equipment, and then like, you know, we got, and we're supposed to also play a show that night,
Yeah,
and then like
a little more context if you don't know the backstory of this episode.
Yeah, we were.
Stock King James, our band, was playing a show, and basically I was like, we need to record an episode now because we just had no other time to do it, and that's where we're on this other week schedule.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're in a band, you show up early for a gig. It was in this bar in Long Island. You know that you just have all this downtime. So I'm just like, we're here early. let's just bang out. Nope, there's a phone again. Let's just bang out an episode. So no band is even on stage. There's a bunch of like townies at the bar, and we just set up. We just set up on the stage, and you know we didn't tell anyone what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that we were playing there that night, so it wasn't completely random.
Yeah.
But that didn't last too long. I don't remember why we cut it short. We were on the stage for too long, maybe like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I forget.
But the really awesome thing that happened was that later when the show happened and people started showing up, we decided to continue recording the podcast at the merch table, which was just so amazing to me. I would do that right now. Just the idea of being able to do the show and just have random people come up to you and talk to you while you're doing it. Because right away they see you talking at microphones. They're already drawn to you.
Yeah.
And we just had so many people on the show. We were screaming into the microphones because we thought that we couldn't hear because of the music. So everything, we're just yelling all night. Random things happened.
Yeah.
Aaron Cube's first appearance was on the show. He said, "Check it," and then I just had a blast doing that episode, so that's why it's kind of my favorite. It's probably one of the most unlistenable ones.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's episode 18. Check the archives, kids.
But yeah, definitely. At that point though, I definitely would say like I was. I've come a long way as a person.
Yeah.
And there's definitely moments where, like, I just did not want to do anything,
Yeah.
Something would just trigger it, and then I'd just be like, I don't know I don't know.
Right.
I generally, I don't get that mode anymore, but.
Right. I mean, you handled it pretty well, just me knowing you. I mean, you weren't chilling, but you weren't like, fuck this, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Not like some people who don't show up to things.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed up. You showed up at least. Fun night. I'm trying to think. In that one episode, I said it was 3 hours, and we were watching videos. I love that. I had a lot of fun recording.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always have fun doing the podcast.
Yeah.
It's good times.
So yeah, the show is not going anywhere. We're about to we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah, we're kicking it off into a new universe, taking it to the next level.
Yeah,
doing it not in a bedroom, but in an actual place, a place of business, a place of fun, a place of tits that the walls have seen.
Yeah, these walls have seen breastises. I mean, the breastises, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not to be vulgar. Breastises. These walls have seen breastises.
Well, I guess on that note, end our 5th anniversary show with a touch of class. So, what are you got something to say?
I don't know. Yeah. So we're ending this now? This is the end.
Yeah, we're gonna end the 5th anniversary show.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say thank you. And on a real note, thank you to anyone who's listening. I never know exactly why we do this.
Yeah.
But if you do listen to it, I thank you, because I don't think we ever. I mean, I am less detached from it since James does the editing and the uploading and the website shit and all that stuff, and I just sort of show up and talk and then listen to it occasionally when I've been listening to it a lot more lately, but I don't feel like I ever get the feedback.
Right.
So if anyone does listen, you're awesome. Thank you. And actually, a friend of mine started listening, and she said she liked it a lot.
Oh, cool.
So there you go.
Yeah, there's one person.
There's one more person started to listen. So
out of the 250,000 that we estimated, 2,151.
Yeah. So for 5 years, no one's ever fucking said a goddamn fucking nice thing to me about this, but I still do it. So if you are listening, thank you. I don't need anything though,
Yeah.
Because if you do, I'm gonna get an ego about it, So
yeah, let's keep this kid in check.
Keep me in
Don't
check.
give the show any compliments, especially Mark.
Yeah. So
don't write iTunes reviews.
In fact, write an iTunes review saying that I'm an asshole.
Yeah. If anything, that would help.
Yeah.
That would really help.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So thank you to anyone who listens, and let's do another 5.
All right, man. Let's skedaddle. Bada bing. Well, gang, that was it. We just dropped a bomb on the podcasting world. Right in your face. Our 5th anniversary show, live from Roxy and Duke's in Dunellen, New Jersey. What the fuck more could you ask for? So that was that, man. So, it's about that time for us to skedaddle. Us, me. I'm gonna leave. I'll be back next week, guys. Relax. Every Tuesday, I'll be here. Or whenever you listen. That's when it downloads. So, here's some facts for you. You want to follow me on Twitter? It's at James H. Carter2. Want to send the show an email? jamespodcast@gmail.com. You want to check out our website? And yes, you do. To watch videos, read show notes, look at bonus content, and leave us a voicemail. That is The Even James Has a Podcast, podcast.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo. And you can subscribe to us on iTunes, listen to our show on Stitcher, and you can love yourself. Thanks for everyone that has ever been on the show in any possible way. Thanks to anyone that has ever listened at any point. This has been amazing. It's not over. It sounds cliche, but I'm really just getting started. The show is not going to have any long gaps anymore. Like, this show is just going to be constantly here for you. We'll be here for you. We'll be your best friend. We'll try to do it every Tuesday. It might come out Wednesday, but every Tuesday we're going to do it. It's going to be here. The Even James the Podcast. 5 years in, we're going to keep this party going. So, you know what I'm going to say now, don't you? Do you know? Do you know? I think you know. I think you know. And what am I going to say? Keep one foot in the gutter. The other in the grave.